there's, if you like, a little bit of noise coming back at you from social media, particularly from places like Twitter. How do you respond to some of the claims that the position that you take might be snake oil?
Yeah, so I think I'd start, John, by saying that let's just take a step back here, rather than point fingers at individuals. Of course, there are different people. There are always going to be unsavory characters, even within medicine. But the majority of doctors and healthcare professionals genuinely go into, especially in the NHS, go into the job to really help their patients. So I think this is a symptomatic of, to call this snake oil, whatever, is just ridiculous. It's silly. It's not evidence-based to say something like that. In fact, what we're doing is promoting the best available evidence to help patients have improved quality of life. But to try and understand what's going on, I think really I quote Simon Chapman. So Simon Chapman, for many people listening won't know who he is. He was probably the professor of psychology, and he was public health professor in Australia. He was regarded as the single most important campaigner in highlighting or reducing tobacco consumption in Australia by campaigning and getting regulations introduced. And one of his quotes in the talks that I give, he gives a 10-point plan about lessons during his 38 year in public health advocacy, because ultimately, what I'm doing, what Graham is doing is really, in a way, is being advocates for public health. And he says, you've got to grow a rhinoceros hide, have a thick skin, because as soon as your work threatens an ideological cabal or an industry, you will be attacked, sometimes unrelentingly and viciously. So you've got to have a thick skin when you're doing things, trying to change the system. And, again, to put things in perspective, John, the reality is this, and I can back it up and debate this with anybody, anywhere, anytime. You bring on the most hardcore journalist to challenge me on this, and I can absolutely, totally back this up. Right now, we're living in a system of health misinformation, which basically means we've got, in universal deceit. And in a time of universal deceit, I said this on BBC Radio 5 Live yesterday, telling the truth is a revolutionary and controversial act. So because of that, there are many people are going to react because they're not aware. They haven't dug deep to see what's going on. And they may also, without knowing the deep background of people like me or Graham or whatever, they may also question motives of people coming up and making, statements that they have absolutely no understanding or knowledge of. And then their instant reaction is to suggest this is some sort of self-interested, promotion of something for, some hidden agenda. And the way to do that is you just smear and attack and use words like snake oil. But all they're doing is exposing their ignorance, John, to be honest. And I use that as fuel just to think, okay, well, actually, we've still got a lot of work to do. But anyone who's reasonable, who's got understands they've got responsibility to scientific integrity and duty to their patients, is going to take it on board and gonna hopefully act on it. And that's what we need. I think people intuitively know, John, that there's something wrong right now with the healthcare system, with society, with the way things are going. And at the root of all of this is essentially there is too much power and commercial influence over health information.